I was reading a Harvard Business Review report, which said that based on an analysis of millions of data points, the most successful age to start a business was 45, exactly the age that I was. Most people think of 20-year-old guys, coding software. But no, I think the real world experience and connections that you have by the time you're in your middle age probably set you up better for success. I read this and I actually was so unhappy in my job. It was quite an easy decision to resign and go down the entrepreneurial route.
Welcome to the Martian Logic Podcast. This episode features Sharon Melamed, founder and managing director of Matchboard.
So, Sharon, you were a mum, a working mum.
Correct.
Many moons ago, and you've decided this is not going to having a full-time job that's pre-COVID era and being able to be a full mum and be able to manage these two responsibilities well wasn't going to work for you. And you've decided to start your own business. Can you take us through that journey and what was going on?
Yeah, sure. Look, I had a wonderful 20-year career, but in my last role, before I jumped into the entrepreneurial world, I was under intense pressure with deadlines and travel, and at the same time trying to manage two young primary school kids. And this was pre-COVID, so at the time, there was no such thing as flexible working from home. So I'd literally put on my sneakers at 5 o'clock and run for my life to the station to make it back in time for daycare before it closed to pick up my kids. And this led to some health issues, physical health issues, as well as just not feeling well mentally with all the pressure.
Yeah.
And around that time, I was reading a Harvard Business Review report, which said that based on an analysis of millions of data points, the most successful age to start a business was 45, exactly the age that I was.
A lot of people, yeah?
Absolutely. Most people think of 20-year-old guys, coding software. Sure. But no, I think the real world experience and connections that you have by the time you're in your middle age probably set you up better for success. So anyway, I read this and I actually was so unhappy in my job. It was quite an easy decision to resign and go down the entrepreneurial route. Now, of course.
Well, I mean, easy but risky.
Easy, but you got to have an idea.
No, I mean, risky, the income, the stable income going into an unknown world. And
absolutely. But that's the other advantage of starting a business when you're in your 40s is that you've got some financial stability by then. So you can afford to take a risk maybe for a year. Yeah. In my case.
Were you a single mother or were you?
No. Okay. Happily married with two kids.
So was the partner then did they have a stable income themselves?
They did.
Okay, so that would have helped a little bit.
Exactly. So I guess I was very fortunate that I had the luxury of trying my luck at a business. And I really had been fermenting this idea for a few months while I was still working of a matchmaking platform for businesses. How this came about, would you like to know?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I love matchmaking people. All my life, I've tried to put people together. It's resulted in some happy marriages.
It has?
Yes. One of my family members is very grateful to me for an introduction I made and has been with his wife for 20 years. So
you went out of your way. You saw that, but you go, oh my God, they would be perfect for blah. And you made the
put
effort
them
to
together.
Get them together. Oh my
Happened
goodness.
Even when I was a high school student, I was setting up a teacher and a student teacher and then friends. And so when I decided I want to strike out on my own, I thought about, well, what am I passionate about? Because that's the advice you get from everyone. If you're thinking about starting a business, do something you feel passionate about.
Absolutely.
And I reflected that I really love this matchmaking thing, but I didn't want to just do another dating site.
Sure.
Because that had been done and done. And then based on my career in sort of the B2B, business to business world, I thought, let's do a B2B version of a dating site, which is Matchboard, the company I started.
Which is suppliers or vendors to businesses.
Yeah, so Matchboard effectively is a two-sided marketplace where we match buyers of services with suppliers of services. And that could be anything.
Services mostly, not necessarily.
Services and some software solutions.
Sure.
Yeah. So on the services side, our most popular service that we match is outsourcing, companies looking to outsource customer service, accounting, digital marketing, HR, you name it. And then consulting, companies that are trying to find a consultant. So we find their perfect match consultant, and also some software solutions. So it's really living and breathing my passion every day, because every day is a new client to match, make.
So that matched, matched your passion, but you felt there was a gap in the market when it comes to businesses and suppliers versus the people matching that was pretty much flooded at that time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah?
Dating sites were done. And also there were so many consumer marketplaces or matching platforms where, even Airbnb, Uber, eBay, they're all sort of matching platforms in a way. But the B2B segment was what was underserved, and that's where I saw the gap.
That's good. Good on you. That's awesome. So throughout this journey, if we have people listening here, as you said, whether they are 45 and they are now going to be empowered by this conversation and they do want to take the plunge and maybe start something, or people in their 20s for this matter, what examples can you share from that journey? Especially in the early years, mistakes that you now look back and you know that was a dumb mistake, and don't do that at home if you're starting a business.
Yes.
What can you share?
Okay.
I love that. I love learning from people's experiences.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually grateful for the opportunity to share those learnings, because I think some of them are important, and I would hate for other people to make the same mistakes. So, the first learning was I was working from my living room in the first year so intensely, sitting at the dining table in the most unergonomic position you can imagine. And I actually developed this debilitating RSI where I literally couldn't pick up a plate, let alone type a proposal, as a result of not sitting in the right way. Such a simple thing. And I always thought, oh, that ergonomic stuff, it's not important. But it actually made me think, oh my God, how am I going to run a business if I can't use my hand to type? Yeah. And I had to master a software application where you gave it commands, by using your voice, and then that would initiate keystrokes or whatever. But that happened for 3 months. Saw a physio.
While you were recovering.
Yes, he told me how stupid I'd been with the way I was working at home, and I fixed that. And after a number of...
Can you share that? What was it, if you were to explain it without, people seeing you sitting in that position? But what were we talking about? The chair was bad. Were you sitting on a couch? Not enough back support. What would you say the key issue there? Yeah,
exactly. Well, for a start, the dining table was too high. So I was lifting up my arms to type. And you're meant to... Everything's meant to be at... a very straight angle, and you're meant to have everything parallel, like your arms parallel to the keyboard and all that. So that really set me back a few months.
And the chair was the normal dining table chair?
Yeah, exactly.
Also a lot there
so I fixed all that.
Sure.
But even today, when I'm typing, I still need to wear a wristband as a result of that mistake 14 years ago. So I would say, in all the enthusiasm that you have to start a business, just make sure you've got that as a foundation. And it's not something many people talk about, and that's why I'm mentioning it.
No, that's cool.
But in terms of other learnings along the way, I think on the positive side, I'd actually had a lot of learnings myself from living overseas in 5 countries. And I think probably one of the things about moving to another country teaches you resilience. And you need a lot of resilience as a startup founder.
Sure.
So make sure you're prepared for the ride, because it's never as easy as people tell you. Every startup founder will put together a beautiful Excel spreadsheet with their forecast of how many customers they're going to sign up over the course of the year, month by month, but it never turns out like that. And finding customers is way harder than everyone thinks. So I would say, be very realistic, but probably the best learning is to make sure before you even invest all your time and effort in something, go and speak to customers. Nothing beats.
That's brilliant.
Going out and speaking to customers. Before I developed the Matchboard website or matching platform, I mocked up wireframes, which are like screens. Yep. You would know what they are. How a screen would look, and took them through different screens. And I was like, if you could go here and click this and do this, would you find that helpful?
Would you use it? Would you
use it? Yes. And I got a bunch of feedback that was like, no, this does not make sense here or there.
Oh my goodness.
And so I would say before you jump in, absolutely.
So you corrected it and came back? And
Yes. Oh, for sure.
And
yes.
then
This was very early in the journey. You know, it was when I was in beta mode and it was still not fully launched. I could capitalize on those learnings.
I understand. It's just like interesting how that went, because that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. I mean it. Okay, from my own experiences, I can see how that's powerful. So they said no. So what? You went back into the drawing board and fixed that, and came back. What? A week later, 2-3 days later, to the same people? Or,
yeah. Well, I would send them, hey, thanks so much for that feedback. And sometimes I would send them a little like Uber Eats voucher or something to really thank them, because those people gave me little nuggets of wisdom. They don't know how much that then translated into positive business benefit for my business and just help from day one.
So they gave you then eventually, after 2 or 3 iterations, positive feedback.
Yes,
That's amazing
exactly.
that you did that. Not many people do that.
And so many people sit in their, I won't say ivory tower, but they think they know, but you can never make assumptions about what customers want or will pay for without speaking to a lot of them. And I'm not talking 2 or 3. Like I would have spoken to probably about 30 before fully launching.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
If I told you I did the same with AdLogic, that's why I was really connected with what you're saying. I did the same when I launched AdLogic.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that worked for you as well?
100%.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It was a big thing.
Another learning is just how powerful LinkedIn is if you use it correctly. So I was luckily living in New York when LinkedIn as a company started. So I got in as an early adopter. So by the time I launched my business, I was already at a couple of thousand followers, which back then, 14 years ago, that was fairly decent.
Yep.
So day one when I launched the business, I put it out to my network and I said, I don't ask for many favors, not very often, but I'm asking for one today. I've launched my business, Matchboard. Can you share this with your network? Around 50 of my 2,000 odd connections did share, and it's like a multiplier effect.
Of course.
Then you just suddenly reach hundreds and thousands of people. And within hours, I'd landed 3 clients.
And you're lucky back then the algorithm allowed you to do that.
Exactly.
LinkedIn doesn't do that
Times
these
have
days.
changed a little bit.
For it to take that effect. It was possible organically back then.
Yeah.
They were generous.
Yes. So it was like a free lunch, back then, where with LinkedIn, you could genuinely quite easily pick up clients just through leveraging your network.
Yeah.
And again, that was something that didn't cost anything, just like asking customers what they think. Doesn't cost anything. But it really gave me the confidence that if day one I can get 3 clients through LinkedIn, okay, I'm onto something.
Definitely.
So
I would say so.
That really set a fire in my belly. And gave me the confidence to just go full on with the business.
That's really good thing to share with people. I really feel it was very, very useful. As I said, I have the same experience, and you're right. How many entrepreneurs think about it's all about the business plan and the logic. The fact that it's logical, that means it makes sense. When you go into the real world, there's logic and there's the real world, and that's, I guess, really the learning from what you said. Doesn't matter how logical and glossy and whatever the internet says, that business plan means nothing until it's validated. Got to put it out there to the real consumers, the potential buyers. And, even the next degree from that, investors don't even give a shit about that. They want people to even pay money for it before it even makes sense, let alone just because it looks good. So that's definitely a good lesson to people who are thinking of starting a business. The business plan, the glossy business plan is one thing, that's step one, but it means nothing on its own.
Yeah,
it's got
absolutely.
to be validated by those potential customers, yeah?
As an entrepreneur, not with a large business, but with a smaller business, I think having that network around, or whether it's potential customers or more recently advisors, is an area that I really recommend. It doesn't matter if you're a one-man business, you can still have a board of advisors. And it's
time and place for that, though. You think from the very beginning?
No, I didn't do it till I was 10 years in.
Sure.
But
that's what I thought. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
even 3, 4, 5, 10, but certainly not at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask people's opinion, of course. You're always, as an entrepreneur, you should be curious and you should be resourceful and you should be it's sort of using any opportunity around you for feedback and knowledge.
Yeah.
But to really have that kind of structure is an interesting thing. Sorry, I stole the conversation.
No, it's okay. I mean, it is debatable whether you can have that sort of thing from day one. I have actually witnessed a couple of startups recently who in their first year have had that advisory board, and it makes them look like they're a more serious, bigger business than they are. Because if you can get people on your board who have a great reputation or have some serious experience to bring to the table, or maybe they're an influencer even on LinkedIn.
When you're trying to commercialize the product, I mean, maybe there's so many, you're right. I mean, it depends on what the company is. If it's services and stuff, you could be up and running quickly. You don't need to build a product. That means you could be. But in my case, it took years to build the product and it was so dynamic and fluid. I was always asking people's opinion. I had amazing people I'm forever grateful to for their feedback. But to think that you can have an advisory board, you want to be careful not to have a company run by consultants. It's the end of entrepreneurialism. It becomes literally you're putting bureaucrats, you're going into the bureaucrats route when you need to be fluid, entrepreneurial, working with your gut feel.
I totally agree with you. Yes. And you got to do so many pivots early on, and there's just, and speed is the new currency of business. You've got to really move fast. There's no time to check in with the advisors, So the way I do it is really low key, I would say. I have an advisory board of 4 execs, and we meet just once every 3 months. But if there's something really that I would value their advice on that can't wait, I'll just ping them. But the fact that there is that advisory board sitting there is something that people seem to like and take the business more seriously.
Sure, I agree with that.
Yeah. So that was another learning.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Okay.
There's another story I'd like to share related to taking advice early on, and when are you over relying on outside so-called experts' opinions when you're trying to do something disruptive that they may not have the same gut instinct for. So I want to talk about the commercial model that I set up for Matchboard. And it is radical in the sense that it's based on an honesty system. And I'll explain what I mean. Because every so-called expert that I asked when I was starting the business said to me, people aren't honest. This is never going to work. So basically we have a matching platform. We introduce buyers to suppliers. supplier wins a deal. The way we make money is we take a cut of the deal, a very tiny percentage, when the supplier converts it.
Sure.
But we rely...
More than fair. I think it should be more than tiny, but anyway.
Yeah, okay. We'll maybe bump it up after this. So basically, we're relying on the supplier to come back and say, hey, Matchboard, that lead you sent us 3 months ago, we've converted it, and here's the first invoice that was sent. And then we calculate our success fee based on that. A lot of platforms, they insist on being the middleman for the payment. But in our case, to make sure they don't lose the visibility of the deal, and also so they can get bigger revenues, just, not just the cut. They want the full revenues.
Yes.
Right? And I was quite happy not to capture those full revenues of the deals and just to take a small cut. But that meant just relying on the suppliers to tell us.
Yeah.
And the reason I adopted this model was because...
Knowing that you could potentially be losing some revenue.
Knowing that some people might be dishonest or might have a bit of amnesia and forget to tell me they'd closed a deal. So
why did you take that
Why
risk?
did I take it?
I'm itching to know.
And the reason is because it's what the market wanted when I did all those customer feedback sessions. When I say customer feedback, I interviewed buyer and supplier profiles.
Interesting.
All the suppliers were saying to me, we don't want to pay per lead like with Google ads. We don't want to pay retainers. We just want to pay
on
success.
So,
if we win a deal.
But it doesn't mean you don't keep decent accounting tracking of that.
Yes.
To rely on their honesty is another level. Was there a reason for that?
Yes.
Or is it you felt we'll tackle that later? It's an investment.
And I'll tell you why.
To make now.
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic question. People ask that a lot. And the reason is that a lot of buyers, they don't want a middleman platform to negotiate with, to do business with. They want a direct relationship with the vendor. And
I agree with that.
Particularly with bigger companies. We have had huge companies, big four banks, top insurance companies, world's biggest search engines. I won't name any names, but they've used our platform and they don't want to pay via a little middleman platform. They want to negotiate a full agreement offline with the other party. So there was no value to be gotten from staying in the middle. If both sides just wanted to talk to each other and do business with each other directly, why am I standing in their way?
No, I agree with that. I think you'll find a lot of people would. I think that's smart and sensible. It's just, I guess you are answering the question. For you not to be in the middle, you will end up losing certain visibilities and relying on the honesty of that person. But you know what? Even that model, I was a bit critical at the very beginning of it. I think there's something nice and special about that in terms of the goodwill, somehow the universe will throw maybe something back at you in the sense it makes the whole experience a lot more. It just elevates the experience. It differentiates you on that level.
And people trust you more because you're trusting them to be honest. And my conclusion after 14 years of running with this model is that people are more honest than you think. Now, having said that, they obviously do have an incentive to be honest because if we discover that they've actually been dishonest, then they're blacklisted. And I have blacklisted less than a handful of companies over time.
But no, you're right. If they feel they got a good service from this platform without paying up front, they go, we want to pay the fee because we want to get more from it. We want to contribute to the success of it. You're right. There's something nice, inherently nice about that. That you can't replicate. Technology and
the proof's in the pudding.
Replicate.
And I shared this story just because I wanted to make the point that it's not always the so-called experts that are right when you're starting a business, because all those experts tried to talk me out of offering this model. But I went with my gut instincts.
You're coming back to that point.
And
Brilliant.
I went
okay.
not only to my gut instincts, but to what the customers told me they wanted. And I feel like if you give people what they want and you can still make money out of it, then the business is going to thrive. So that's at the end of the day, the route I went down. And one sort of perspective I'd like to share is what gave me this idea of an honesty system originally was my exposure to Japanese business culture. I worked with the Japanese for 15 years.
Okay, I'm listening.
I speak Japanese, and actually my first job was a Japanese-speaking call center agent. But I progressed.
What? Your first job was?
A Japanese-speaking call center agent. Providing customer service over the phone in Japanese.
Oh, that's pretty full on. That means really fluent Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was with this Japanese company, and I ended up going to sort of senior vice president level at this company. They went public. It was an amazing journey for 15 years.
In Japan?
It was first in Australia, then in the US, but every month I was traveling to Tokyo. So I've been 43 times.
Wow.
But Japanese business culture is so different from Western business culture in a way that I love. And that is
that trust.
They're very focused on building relationships of trust, building partnerships for the long term that are win-win for everyone. And I compared that to, as I said, I lived in the US, the American approach, which was before you've even opened your mouth, they want you to sign an NDA, right? That's how a business meeting sometimes would start over there.
Yeah.
And the Japanese would be like, we haven't even had a conversation and you're putting a legal document in front of me. It would just be very jarring for them.
How about when the girl from Westpac, a person from Westpac, or any of the banks these days or insurance companies, they answer the phone. Hi, it's Janet speaking. Can I start with your first name, please? It's like, I was just going to say, hi, nice to meet you. Anwar. It's the worst way to start. I don't know why I thought about this, but you bring in that whole NDA, how it could really kill relationships and stuff. This, I feel also, it really starts the conversation on the, it takes any niceness out of it. It makes it so cold. And
makes it very clinical and yes, exactly. So it sounds like you're more in the Japanese camp like me.
I would be. I love my Japanese food, but I've never been to Japan. Don't speak any word of Japanese. I like my someone taught me how to say it. Sake. No.
Sake.
It's sake. Do you stress on the ke or the sa? How do you?
Sake.
Sake.
Yes.
Okay. I like that and I like my Japanese food. Sorry, back to you. The Japanese culture, the trust.
Yes. So the Japanese culture really gave me that sense of confidence that this trust model might work with Matchboard. And I don't know if I would have had that had I not had the experience dealing with the Japanese. So I'm a big believer, if you have a background in another culture or you've lived overseas in another country, see what learnings you can take from that culture that you can build in to your business. Because every culture has something.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I went to France for about 4 or 5 days for my niece's wedding. And I thought I've observed something about the culture that was different. A lot more relaxed, not as stressed as we are. I felt they were more respectful and a lot more relaxed and nice to each other, as opposed to us seeing cafes and stuff. We're so stressed out and becomes transactional and no one looks at anybody, no one says hi to anyone, just, so stressed out.
Yeah.
It was a lot more nice, and they were nice to the people that worked there. And they were, I don't know, I felt there's, my gosh, this is nice.
The people in Nice were nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Marseille.
Okay.
Marseille, yeah.
So, definitely there's pros and cons to every sort of culture perhaps. But I also lived in the US, in New York and San Francisco for 10 years. And And I could tell you a lot that I didn't gel with American culture, but there were some great points that I felt
Share one
were
with me.
amazing.
From the US. No, I really mean it, because I would love to contribute to that as well. I felt without even being in the US, I've observed something from working with American people, but share something with me.
Okay, so
The positive, as for you to borrow, for an entrepreneur in Australia to borrow from the corporate culture in US. Yeah,
yes,
that's what we're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Sure. So perhaps New York isn't indicative of all of America. But anyway, the thing that I loved there was the energy and the pace of decision making. What I find sometimes in Australia, having come back, obviously, and especially this struck me when I first moved back as a difference, is that Australian businesses tend to move in a much more considered way and take their time with decisions, whereas Americans were like, go, go, go. Let's try this. Let's give them a chance. Maybe a startup, or maybe something a bit different. They are more willing to be experimental, entrepreneurial.
Got it.
So,
would you call that like the whole agile methodology versus the old way of running project management, the waterfall versus agile? Would you say there's an element of that maybe?
You probably know more about those methodologies than me.
Sorry.
But
it is experimental.
Yes.
It is give it a go as a proof of concept before you commit. Go through the full cycle very quickly.
Yes.
Without being too deep at any level through the cycle. And then if it makes sense, then you start to get deep on another tier. You keep going in iterations until the full depth is attained.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do think that leads to less innovation that's commercialized in Australia versus the US, if sort of per capita. I actually saw a quite disturbing chart this morning someone showed me, which showed different countries in the world and their adoption of AI in business. And Australia was right at the bottom. I think Australia is great in terms of R&D and ideas, but commercializing innovation, that cut through it, let's turn that into business.
I'm not sure if you heard of that as well. I mean, when I say heard, definitely facts, but a small number of stories. A lot of American companies use New Zealand as a test market.
Yes. Now, New Zealand is known to be very innovative. I think Air New Zealand was once voted, if not the most innovative, then almost the most innovative airline in the world. I think because it's a small market, perhaps, things can fly under the radar there. If it doesn't work, no one will notice sort of attitude. Yes, Kiwis have that reputation. So that's something maybe we can take a learning from.
I mean, it proves the point. If they go to New Zealand, why they're not doing Australia? Clearly, there must have been a difference there. So it proves your point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Germany was another country that I lived in, only for 5 months. But
and one learning there?
One learning, attention to detail. In terms of, yes, I remember negotiating a contract with a big German publishing company, and they pored over every word and had to make everything very explicit, much more than I think at the time I was living in the US, so I was traveling to Germany on a business trip. But the US was much more, let's just get this going. And the Germans were like, let's get this 100%
Still
perfect.
Have 5 questions here.
Yes.
Still have that.
I think, probably the best is somewhere in between.
We both worked with people, even in Australia here, who are on those two sides of the spectrum, yeah?
Yes.
I can relate to that. I can see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, Australia is a very multicultural society. So half of the population has some links to another culture. So my advice is just
use that richness.
You haven't thought about it a lot. But when you do consciously try to reflect on some interesting points or ways of doing business from that culture, you can bring that into your own model.
That diligence, did you find as an entrepreneur diligence was something that you had to get used to, or maybe from depending on the corporate history, or your career path leading to being an entrepreneur, that might be really different, I guess. But did you find diligence versus the big picture, there was a conflict in there? And when you start to talk to investors and other advisors in your case, etc., you start to see, oh my goodness, I need to be a bit more accurate now with these guys, inspired by what you said about the Germans with, how did you describe it, details?
Yes, attention to detail.
Sure.
Yeah.
I started to have to be drawn, as an entrepreneur, you're a dreamer. This doesn't matter. It's the big picture. And hold on, mate. No, $150 here is important. No, that's not nothing. It's not a change, So what? We're talking about building $100 million company. What about $150?
Yeah.
But then, no, it doesn't work like that, And so did you have an experience like that?
And I know exactly what you're saying. I think partly for me, it came back to I was in my 40s. I perhaps in my 20s was very exuberant and overly optimistic, but over time you become more realistic and with your feet on the ground, you can be more effective in business. So
Sure.
I felt like I was at that stage where I was diligent enough while at the same time being very passionate about what I did.
And you worked in the commercial world, part of the corporate world. I was more on the creative engineer and an architect, software engineer, software architect. There's the science, but there's a creativity to it, no question about it. I mean, software engineering is an art and science. The art of reuse, how you design this code could be designed in an infinite ways and deliver the same thing. When you hit the button, it's going to deliver 5.862, the answer to that question, right? But inside how the code is structured, there's infinite ways of doing it. Hence the creativity, the engineering, just like designing a house. Yes, we want it to face the sun or the shade or whatever the requirements are. You can still build it in literally infinite ways. So definitely creative kind of environment. And you're not dealing with numbers and commercials and stuff. So I guess maybe in my case, I had to learn a lot in that part of the world, but you were already equipped with that. Being in business development in the corporate world.
I think having a background in sales and marketing is really helpful if you're building a startup, because
of course,
every founder, whether they're a technical background person like yourself or whatever it is, you need to be a hustler in the beginning, right? You need to get out there and hustle and network. And that's moving outside your comfort zone for many people. But for me, I was right in my zone.
With the business development, you've already done that.
Yeah.
Got it. Very interesting. Okay. What else do we want to cover? Is there anything else that I might have you still want to share about the whole experience, or we can take a different angle before we move on from that point?
We can take a different angle.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about, you employ a few people in the business? I don't know, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 20. You employed some people through that journey. What did you learn about managing people?
I learned that it's actually not my strong suit. And that's probably an answer that not many people would give. But I believe it's
an honest answer. Thank you.
It's so important to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. And I tried to build my business around my strengths. So our matching platform that I've got takes out 95% of the legwork required to match two businesses together to make sure they're a perfect match for each other. So it requires little manpower. So we do not have a big team. And the team we have is spread around the world in different countries, which I love also. Yeah. I have to work hard, I'll be honest, at managing, incentivizing, because it doesn't come as naturally to me as sales and marketing.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And there's a notion out there, something that you said made me think about this. It's the skill-based kind of management. In other words, it's you look at someone that maybe is not really performing as great. Maybe doing okay. We're not talking about badly performing. That would be another story. Doing okay, but nothing inspiring, nothing exceptional. They're okay.
Sure.
And there's a notion, it's been developed over the last 25, 30 years, I have to admit, but there's it's sort of more and more being adopted, at least in the mainstream corporate world, of looking at their strength and almost restructure their position and their responsibility around their strength. Don't try to make them change. Don't try to say, let's performance manage you on these things you're not doing well and continue to beat a dead horse and it's never going to be really right.
Totally.
At least the theory claims.
Don't put a square peg in a round hole.
Right, exactly. Work with their strengths. So there's a whole framework for it of how to identify the strength of that person and then therefore reconstruct a role for them or a position that revolves around their strengths so they can become that exceptional person. Any from your own journey, even yourself, you mentioned something about it wasn't my strength. I thought that's interesting. Do you have any comments on that, views, any learning from that?
Yeah, I guess I always encourage the people in my network to be honest with me, not just tell me what I want to hear, not just throw compliments.
Yep.
So I have deliberately found people who are quite straight talking and direct with me and will share when I'm not doing things optimally. So yeah, that would be my only tip to make sure you've got that network of people who are going to
give you the right honest answer.
Right advice about whether you're doing something.
Not what you want to hear.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Another thing I could share in terms of strengths and my journey with the business at Matchboard is obviously we had the matchmaking platform, but to take the business to the next level, I thought about what else can I do in this realm of matchmaking? So we actually set up another part of the business, which I haven't even mentioned up until now, and it's matchmaking events in the real physical world. So we bring buyers of services together with suppliers for meetings and events. So we take what we've done online offline into the real world. And
events, you're not organising events.
We are.
Some people,
we are.
You're organising
We are
events.
organising matchmaking events.
That where those two would meet and learn from each other and exchange information.
We've got one event that's our flagship, which is called Executive Connections, and it's speed dating meetings. So every 10 minutes, we'll rotate the sponsor or supplier to a meeting with another potential client. And we hold that at the Ivy in Sydney. But apart from that, every month we're running multiple events around Australia and New Zealand where we have one supplier and they say, can you match us to our ideal client profile? And can you get 20 of those in the room? So
that's very interesting.
So these are hugely popular, and our competition for this offering is B2B events companies that run these round tables.
They call me all the time, the round table stuff, yeah.
And what we've done that is totally disruptive is we will take some risk in the pricing model around the sponsor, the supplier, winning a new client from the event. Whereas every other events company in Australia just takes a fixed fee.
That's it. Whether you get any business from it or not, we can't guarantee you anything.
Skin in the game.
Got it.
And companies love it when a provider puts skin in the game.
Almost
and is aligned.
Or very low risk
Yeah,
profile.
we have a hybrid model. So we
Sure.
take some risk. We don't take 100% of the risk because
Sure.
we're running these events in 5-star restaurants, in private dining rooms in the CBD. We've run them in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Auckland, all over the place, literally hundreds of them. And this is another extension of my passion for matchmaking and bringing people together. And every event leaves me feeling so fulfilled that these people probably would never have met otherwise.
That matchmaking is really interesting. Is there any, in the psychology world or whatever, is there any, the people like you who love to match people, is that a thing? Does that make you a blah as a personality or something? Is that a thing for that?
Wow. I think I should actually research that. I've never asked ChatGPT.
It's such an honourable, beautiful thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That you're trying to add value to people's lives or whatever, just like that, out of a good heart. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You're walking around and you go, oh my God, my brother or my sister or my uncle or my niece or whatever, they would be amazing match to that person. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, right?
I'm sure you've done it many times without even thinking about it. And a lot of people have. But I think the more we can do this, the more it makes the world spin around and the more fulfilling it is to actually see then.
See, a lot of people have that urge or they feel they have that thought. Not many people follow through because it's risky.
Yes.
And that's what I mean. It does take.
And if it doesn't turn out, they don't want the responsibility.
It does take someone special to follow through and put their body on the line.
Yeah.
That's in my opinion.
Yeah. So yes, I get an adrenaline rush every day from matchmaking. And I think that's the key if you're running a business 14 years on, how many people can say they still feel passionate about what they're doing? So I do feel lucky that I'm one of those.
How are the kids, the ones that you were picking up from daycare with your putting your sand shoes on and running to the North Sydney station? How old are they now and how are they doing?
Yeah, good question. They're university students now.
Okay.
And both of them I've managed to get into the business.
Okay.
One of my key success criteria is to be a role model for my daughter.
That's amazing.
And to show her that you can be simultaneously a great mum and have a great business, and you don't need to compromise one or the other.
That's a really very empowering message to women, to young women, because there is definitely one end of the spectrum in the conservative world that says, no. As soon as you want to become going down the line of independence, you're never going to be a conservative good mother anymore or whatever. You start going to compromise on your duties, etc. And so there's two extreme world there, and you're saying, no, there can be something in the middle there.
You can get that harmony between the two. It takes a bit of tweaking, but it is possible. I think I'm proof of that. So,
and the key is what? What's the key to making that happen? Looking back at
I think
what you did.
For a start, if you're in a corporate job and you're desperately unhappy, I made the mistake of staying too long in that environment. Move.
It's toxic to your own life and family and personal life.
In every respect. So get to a place where you're not having to compromise your family or the values that are important to you. Move jobs if you're not able to fulfill your life. Life's too short.
Those words should be the key behind, because I connect with that when people talk about flexibility and these, in my opinion, some of the main keywords why. Like I said to someone, if I'm leaving the house and I've got a dog and I look in his eyes and I sometimes feel as if, oh my God, what am I doing leaving him behind? Like they doesn't understand why he's been ignored for 10 hours. So let alone kids. What I'm saying, this is where it makes perfect sense for a company to say, if I care about this employee and this is so dear to their well-being, this to make sure the kids are happy, whether when they drop them off at the preschool or whatever, for them to walk away feeling really happy, I'm doing the right thing by my family, and to try to create the environment for them to be that kind of parent and therefore that happy employee and create the compromise. That's what it should be all about. I see all these other stories that are meaningless almost when it compares to that beautiful, real cause where someone like myself as a CEO, I would do anything to try to create that environment for that employee. You know, I really connect with
That's
what you're
wonderful
saying.
that you've got that approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all humans and we've got a life outside work. And so if you're working for a business that doesn't recognize that, then leave.
100%.
But also, I mean, in terms of the whole disruption through AI, what are going to be the jobs of the future? For me, I want my kids to have some entrepreneurial skills because entrepreneurs are always going to have, in inverted commas, jobs. So doesn't matter which jobs are going to go away. If you've had experience with starting, running a business, then you're much safer in the scary future with the impact of AI than many other white-collar workers. So I would say if you can, as an entrepreneur, pass those skills on to your kids, that's definitely something I'm working hard on with both mine.
Very well said. And you know what? I really have the highest respect for you with what you said about the kids and the family and how you try to keep the two balanced nicely in your life. You have the highest respect for me.
Thank you.
So well done. Congrats on your career as a mum first and as a professional and an entrepreneur. And thank you for sharing your stories here. Appreciate you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.